Hey everybody, Chris Carden here with C2 Media. You know, in low budget filmmaking and video production, I've often heard it said that it's not about the gear. It's always about story, it's always about character, it's always about unique perspectives. But sometimes it is actually about the gear. I mean, yes, we all have phones in our pockets with cameras, and entire movies have been shot on iPhones, but there are some shots you're just not going to be able to get if you don't have the right piece of equipment. Well, I've always wanted a slider to be able to get those smooth dollies that you really can't get with handheld, and it just kind of brings your production level up just a little bit. And if you want to make presentations to clients that make you look more professional, sometimes you got to go out and buy one. So I found a deal on the Edelkrone SliderOne Pro version 1 that I just couldn't pass up. Today I want to talk about the pros and the cons of the Edelkrone slider, the things I like about it, things that I don't like about it, and ultimately, is it worth adding to your gear? When I initially started looking for a slider, I, like probably many of you, fell victim to Edelkrone's marketing campaign. These are fantastic looking machines. They are very solid, they look reliable, but they're very expensive. The original version of this, before they came out with the new versions of it, was $700. That was way out of my price range, and although I looked at it from afar like, ooh, I wish I could get that, I wasn't about to. But then Edelkrone, I guess, trying to get rid of some of its old gear, decided to put this thing on sale. And I found the sale on Instagram, and they were selling this for $299. And it was something that I just couldn't pass up, so I bought it. It came through Amazon a couple of days ago, and I have to tell you, I put it through its paces. I was both happy and disappointed with the results. One of the best things about the SliderOne Pro is its size. It's really compact at only 10.6 inches in length, with a 7.9 travel distance. Now that is a short throw, but the benefits of that is, of course, you can take the piece of equipment, throw it in your bag, and go. And it also doesn't require a huge amount of setup. It's not really heavy, and it supports up to 20 pounds, which actually makes it, pretty sturdy. The second thing I like about the slider is that it can be automated. So I can actually set the slider up on a tripod and use it as a second camera in an interview without really having to use another cameraman on the shoot. Another nice thing about the slider, and it's really convenient, is that it uses Canon LP-E6 batteries, which if you're using Canon DSLRs, you probably have a lot of these batteries sitting around, so you don't have to buy extra batteries to power the slider, which is nice. They only last about an hour, though, in full usage in the slider, but up to 48 hours if you're doing time-lapse photography. And that's the other nice thing about this slider. It actually has a built-in intervalometer so that you can do time-lapse photography without any additional equipment. A cable doesn't come with the slider, but it's pretty inexpensive. I think it was about $10. You plug one end of it into the slider, the other end into the camera, and there you go. It'll last up to 48 hours doing time-lapse, and with the motion, you can add some very interesting perspectives to your time-lapse photography. So now that we talked about the things that I actually like about the SliderOne Pro, let's talk about some of the things I didn't like so much. And coincidentally, one of the things that I did like is also the same thing that I don't like about it, its size. Because the camera's only traveling 7.9 inches from point A to point B, you really don't have that much of a dramatic throw. And you have to have some very specific uses for the slider to be able to get the effects that you want. So if you're going to be doing any landscape photography and you have a wide angle lens on there, you're not really going to notice a difference in between where the camera is at point A and the camera is at point B. And if there's nothing in your foreground to really indicate motion, this really isn't a piece of equipment for you. You'd really need a much longer throw and a much bigger slider. Secondly, I did a test with the slider, and I'll show you the footage now. At slower speeds, it's not actually as smooth as I would like it to be. You can notice a little bit of a jitter in the footage when we're traveling from point A to point B, and that's when it drops below 50% speed. Basically, the point of having the slider is to be able to move from point A to point B without any jitters or shudders. If you wanted to have jitters and shudders, you could do it without the slider. You wouldn't need to spend $300 to $700 on a piece of equipment to do it. So I'm a little disappointed that it isn't as buttery smooth as it should be at those lower speeds. I'm also not crazy about the fact that there are no external controls on the slider itself. If you don't have the app to control it, you can't control it at all. And if you want to use your phone to control other devices, let's say you have the Canon Camera Remote app where you can control your Canon remotely through your app, you can't really use those two things at the same time, so you're a little bit limited. It would have been nice if they put some external controls on the sliders so that if you didn't want to use the app, you didn't have to. Now, I will say the app is actually pretty easy to use straight out of the box, but you really can't use this thing under certain circumstances unless you have additional equipment. If you notice on the bottom here, there's a 3/8 screw port that attaches to the tripod. Now, my tripod only has a 1/4 inch connection, so I had to buy an adapter that goes from 1/4 inch to 3/8 to put it on the tripod. Additionally, on the top of the slider is another 3/8 connection, and that attaches to whatever tripod head you might put on top, and then you would put the camera on top of that. Now, in lieu of putting it on a tripod, you can actually buy Edelkrone's Flex Tilt Head 2. Unfortunately, they sell it for $150. I found a knockoff for $15. So what do I think about the slider? Well, I think it's a good, solid piece of equipment. I think it's reliable. I think, though, that it does have some limitations and can be best used only under certain circumstances. But what do you guys think? You saw the footage, you've heard the arguments. Do you think that it's worth adding to your gear? Let us know in the comments down below. But if you like this video, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification button so you can find out when new content is coming. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.